Fifth Sustainable Development Goal is gender equality. To achieve gender equality and empower all women and girls. Women and girls represent half of the world's population and therefore also half of its potential. But today, gender inequality persists everywhere and stagnates social progress. Women continue to be underrepresented at all levels of political leadership. Across the globe, women and girls perform a disproportionate share of unpaid domestic work. Inequalities faced by girls can begin right at birth and follow them all their lives. In some countries, girls are deprived of access to health care or proper nutrition, leading to a higher mortality rate. International commitments to advance gender equality have brought about improvements in some areas. Child marriage and female genital mutilation have declined in recent years, and women's representation in the political arena is higher than ever before. But the promise of a world in which every woman and girl enjoys full gender equality and where all legal, social, and economic barriers to their empowerment have been removed remains unfulfilled. In fact, that goal is probably even more distant than before, since women and girls are being hit hard by the COVID-19 pandemic. Disadvantages in education translate into lack of access to skills and limited opportunities in the labor market. Women's and girls' empowerment is essential to expand economic growth and promote social development. The full participation of women in labor forces would add percentage points to most national growth rates, double digits in many cases. Worldwide, 35% of women between 15 to 49 years of age have experienced physical and or sexual intimate partner violence or non-partner sexual violence. The COVID-19 lockdown further caused domestic violence to increase in many countries, showing the critical importance of social protection for women and girls. Regardless of where you live in, gender equality is a fundamental human right. Advancing gender equality is critical to all areas of healthy society, from reducing poverty to promoting the health, education, protection, and the well-being of girls and boys. Sixth Sustainable Development Goal is clean water and sanitation. To ensure access to safe water sources and sanitation for all. Access to water, sanitation, and hygiene is a human right. The demand for water has outpaced population growth, and half the world's population is already experiencing severe water scarcity at least 1 month a year. Water is essential not only to health but also to poverty reduction, food security, peace and human rights, ecosystems, and education. Nevertheless, countries face growing challenges linked to water scarcity, water pollution, degraded water-related ecosystems, and cooperation over transboundary water basins. In 2017, an estimated 3 billion people worldwide lacked the ability to safely wash their hands at home. One of the cheapest, easiest, and most effective ways to prevent the spread of diseases like the coronavirus. Water, sanitation, and hygiene services are also not always available at medical care facilities. In 2016, 1 in 4 facilities around the world lacked basic water supplies, 1 in 5 had no sanitation services, and 2 in 5 had no soap and water or alcohol-based hand rub at points of care. And today, 4.2 billion people are still faced with daily challenges accessing even the most basic of services. Of these, 673 million people practiced open defecation. By managing our water sustainably, we are also able to better manage our production of food and energy and contribute to decent work and economic growth. Moreover, we can preserve our water ecosystems, their biodiversity, and take action on climate change. Without better infrastructure and management, millions of people will continue to die every year from water-related diseases such as malaria and diarrhea, and there will be further losses in biodiversity and ecosystem resilience, undermining prosperity and efforts towards a more sustainable future. Civil society organizations should work to keep governments accountable, invest in water research and development, and promote the inclusion of women, youth, and indigenous communities in water resources governance. You can also get involved in the World Water Day and World Toilet Day campaigns that aim to provide information and inspiration to take action on hygiene issues. Seventh Sustainable Development Goal is affordable and clean energy. to ensure access to affordable, reliable, sustainable, and modern energy for all. A well established energy system supports all sectors, from businesses, medicine, and education to agriculture, infrastructure, communications, and high technology. Access to electricity in poorer countries has begun to accelerate, energy efficiency continues to improve, and renewable energy is making impressive gains. Nevertheless, more focused attention is needed to improve access to clean and safe cooking fuels and technologies for 2.8 billion people. For many decades, fossil fuels such as coal, oil, or gas have been major sources of electricity production. But burning carbon fuels produces large amounts of greenhouse gases which cause climate change and have harmful impacts on people's well-being and the environment. This affects everyone, not just a few. Moreover, global electricity use is rising rapidly. In a nutshell, without a stable electricity supply, countries will not be able to power their economies. Nearly 9 out of 10 people now have access to electricity, but reaching the unserved 789 million around the world, 548 million people in sub-Saharan Africa alone, that lack access will require increased efforts. Without electricity, women and girls have to spend hours fetching water. Clinics cannot store vaccines for children. Many school children cannot do homework at night, and people cannot run competitive businesses. Slow progress towards clean cooking solution is of grave global concern, affecting both human health and the environment. And if we don't meet our goal by 2030, nearly a third of the world's population, mostly women and children, will continue to be exposed to harmful household air pollution. Countries can accelerate the transition to an affordable, reliable, and sustainable energy systems by investing in renewable energy resources, prioritizing energy efficient practices, and adopting clean energy technologies and infrastructure. Businesses can maintain and protect ecosystems and commit to sourcing 100% of operational electricity needs from renewable sources. Eighth sustainable development goal is decent work and economic growth. To promote inclusive and sustainable economic growth, employment and decent work for all. Sustained and inclusive economic growth can drive progress, create decent jobs for all, and improve living standards. Even before the outbreak of COVID 19, 1 in 5 countries, home to billions of people living in poverty, were likely to see per capita incomes decline in 2020. Now, the economic and financial shocks associated with the pandemic, such as disruptions to industrial production, financial market volatility, and rising insecurity, are derailing the already tepid economic growth and compounding heightened risks from other factors. What does decent work mean? Decent work means opportunities for everyone to get work that is productive and delivers a fair income, security in the workplace, and social protection for families, better prospects for personal development and social integration. A continued lack of decent work opportunities, insufficient investments, and underconsumption lead to an erosion of the basic social contract underlying democratic societies that all must share in progress. The pandemic is expected to have a devastating impact on global unemployment. According to estimates from the International Labour Organization, global working hours could drop by 14% in the second quarter of 2020. This is equivalent to approximately 400 million full-time workers doing a 48-hour work week. The eventual increase in global unemployment over 2020 will depend on how effectively policy measures preserve existing jobs and boost labor demand once the recovery phase begins. More than 1 in 6 young people have stopped working since the onset of the COVID-19 pandemic, while those remain employed have seen their working hours cut by 23%. Tourism is one of the economic sectors most affected by the COVID-19 pandemic due to the closure of borders, travel bans, and lockdown measures. Depending on when travel restrictions are lifted and national borders reopen, international travel arrivals in 2020 may decrease by 60 to 80% compared with 2019. Providing youth the best opportunity to transition to a decent job calls for investing in education and training of the highest possible quality, providing youth with skills that match labor market demands, giving them access to social protection and basic services regardless of their contract type, as well as leveling the playing field so that all aspiring youth can attain productive employment regardless of their gender, income level, or socio-economic background. Governments can work to build dynamic, sustainable, innovative, and people centered economies, promoting youth employment and women's economic empowerment in particular, and decent work for all. Implementing adequate health and safety measures and promoting supportive working environments are fundamental to protecting the safety of workers, especially relevant for health workers and those providing essential services. If you enjoyed this video, then please like and share this video and do subscribe to this channel.